Good morning and welcome to the Rotunda Hospital in Dublin. I'm Anna Byrne, Head Librarian and Archivist with the Rotunda, and it's our pleasure this morning to host an exhibition in honour of Mr. Albert G. Power, RHA. It's my pleasure to invite his great-granddaughter, Sharon O Meara, to introduce you to the exhibition and to explain the background to her great-grandfather.
Thank you, Anne. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for coming to this photographic exhibition called Ireland's Forgotten Master Sculptor of the once famous Dublin sculptor Albert G. Power, RHA. This exhibit came about after I read the following books this time last year. Sail agus Soter, Albert Power, written in Irish in 1996 by Dara O'Connell, a beautiful book with many family photos and family stories. Expressions of Nationhood in Bronze and Stone, Albert G. Power, written in 2019 by Sheila Bratenoch Lynch. Both books I highly recommend to anyone interested in the arts, Irish history and politics. I was astounded by the breadth of work that my great-grandfather did throughout the country and how hard that he worked up to his untimely death at the age of 63 on the 10th of July 1945. Albert's story is not only my family's story, it's a part of our nation's story. This photographic exhibition concentrates mainly on Albert's works that can be seen around Dublin City, with the inclusion of some significant monuments throughout the country. This is only a fraction of his work, which does not include his exhibition pieces, many of which are in private collections or other works around the country. Where do I start to give homage to an amazingly gifted artist who happens to be my great-grandfather? Albert was considered in his day the leading sculptor or chief sculptor of the Irish Free State. He was an artisan and fine art master sculptor. The purpose behind this exhibit is to bring Albert's story back into the light and his contribution to the arts, as he has been completely forgotten, and the intent is to get Albert's work formally recognised by the state. I do know that Albert is well known in the art circle, but not outside that. And I have proved that to myself by asking many people I have met over the last 10 months, including people from all over the world at all the galleries, many of whom have asked, why do we not know about this man? This is amazing. So I felt compelled to do something, the result of which is this photographic exhibition with a background story that I hope will help you to get to know the amazingly gifted Albert G. Power, RHA, and his prolific work. Albert was born on the 16th of November 1881 in Old Victoria in Dublin and lived at Barrack Street and Ellis Quay. It was next to what's now Collins's Barracks, and Albert loved to draw, and his parents Henry and Mary encouraged him and provided him with the space to do so, which is unusual in that time. Albert started an apprenticeship at 13 years of age with George Smith, the great-grandson of Edward Smith, who was hired by James Gandon to decorate the Customs House and forecourts. There was also a link in many years later with Albert's son, Albert, who spent many years restoring the works on the Customs House and forecourts. Albert also attended life drawing classes and trained in the DMSA, the Dublin Metropolitan School of Art, which is now the NCAD. Albert won many prizes and scholarships for his work. Albert was trained in the realistic academic style and was usually influenced by his teachers Oliver Shepherd, John Hughes and William Orphan. His contemporaries and friends were Willie Pearse, brother of Padraig Pearse, leader of the 1916 Rising, Harry Clark, Patrick Toohey, Kathleen Fox, Margaret Crilly, among others. Albert was made an associate member of the RHA upon finishing his training in 1916, and he became a full member in 1919. He also taught classes there from 1906 to 11. Sheila Bratenoch Lynch's book lists 2 pages of Albert's academic achievements and competition prizes that he won for his art, and a 9-page list of Albert's work is also included in the book. Albert loved to work with Irish stone and believed it important in order to create purely Irish works. Albert was sought after for over 3 decades for many architectural, private, religious and political commissions, which included key political figures at the time, most notably Cathal Brewer, Arthur Griffith, Michael Collins and Éamon de Valera. One of Albert's most famous pieces is the Padraig O'Connor statue in Galway City, which Éamon de Valera unveiled. At the time, Padraig O'Connor's daughter Eileen was among many who visited Albert at the Stoneyard in Berkeley Street to see the monument dedicated to her father. She said, "The familiar expression on his face held me. Every time I looked up, I saw my father." Albert's Madonna and Child statue, that's in All Hallows, was carved as a symbol of the Mothers of Ireland. It was commissioned by Father Tom O'Donnell back in 1921. When I saw her, all I could think of was my mother and my love for her. She is special like all mothers and evokes reflection. Albert carved a unique half-length statue using his wife Agnes and his son to represent the Madonna and Child, using Irish features with a limestone block from Durrow. Father O'Donnell said it was Irish in a unique manner, made of Irish marble from Durrow, the land of Irish art and Irish saints. She is a daughter of Erin, cloaked in the mantle of the country, cradling her child with the maternal affection of Ireland. I won't go into details about each of Albert's work because I could be here for hours because there's just so much of it. So Albert's last works were the 4 larger-than-life statues for the dome of the new church in Cardona, County Donegal. Albert died at home with his family on the 10th of July 1945, before the church had opened. Upon the opening, the Bishop of Portpore said that Albert considered them to be his finest work, possibly because the work blended his strong and ardent faith with his fervent love of Ireland. Upon Albert's death, the president of the RHA, Desmond O'Brien, said that Mr. Power was one of our greatest artists. As a sculptor, he towered over the bulk of his contemporaries. A very distinguished sculptor, our greatest since Hogan, the Irish Press, 1945. Power is a genius, Most Reverend Michael Fogarty, April 1928. Bethel Solomons, the then master of the Rotunda Hospital, said that Albert was a brilliant artist. You can see his bust here in the front hall of the Rotunda. I have been told by many that I have a compelling case for commemoration. So if you would like to help support our family in getting Albert's work formally recognised and commemorated for his 80th anniversary in 2025, please contact the Department of Taoiseach, Government Buildings, Merrion Street, as the Taoiseach's office is responsible for commemorations. It says, I want to thank the following people. The Master Sean Daly here at the Rotunda Hospital for allowing me access to photograph Albert's bust of Bethel Solomons, and the Rotunda granted me permission to honour Albert with a photographic exhibition within their front hall, which looks out onto the car park where all the leaders of 1916 were held after surrendering from Moore Street before being brought to Kilmaine and Gaul and executed. The Rotunda is a historically significant building in itself. I also want to thank Margaret, Mary, Caroline, Caro and Anna O'Byrne, who has helped coordinate today. Joe and Becky Gavin from Frank Gavin Photography in Drumcondra, which are a family business operating over 70 years. Noel MacDonald from Cattle Brewer Barracks Museum for his encouragement and kindness and care shown to the memory of our great heroes, most notably Cattle Brewer and Michael Collins. My family for sharing stories and information, and to Dara O'Connell and Sheila Bratnock Lynch for their beautiful books dedicated to Albert and his works. I am truly grateful for every word on every page. I also want to thank my great-grandfather, whose work has sent me on an amazing journey, leading me to learn the untaught truth and history of our nation and the amazing individuals whose hopes and dreams for a better Ireland left their mark in our psyche through stories, music and art. So I hope that this exhibition fills that space between my family, extended family, relatives and all those people who see it, and help us to bring Albert's story back into the light where he has more than earned his place in leaving Ireland significant historical pieces and works of art that connects us all to our nation's past. I was struck by Pádraig Pearse's request in Sheila's book to Albert in the GPO in 1916, that the only time that he got involved was when he went to offer his help to William Pádraig. It was Pádraig Pearse who told Albert to go home, that Ireland will need artists as dedicated to him as himself. This gave Albert a personal artistic goal for the rest of his life, and it got me thinking about all the loved ones that Albert had lost in his lifetime. His mother Mary, his sister Charlotte, his brother Vincent Joseph, his son Harold and his daughter Rosaline, and his close friend Willie Pearse. Dara and Sheila's book ignited something in me which gave me a way to honour the memory of my mother and her family. She was that family that she was so proud of. But most of all, I am honoured to be my mother's daughter and the great-grandfather of the amazingly gifted Albert Power. So let us all remember our loved ones and those amazing people and gifted artists who have recorded our nation's history. And let us look back with respect and appreciation and forward with optimism. I want to thank you all for coming, and I hope that you enjoy the exhibition. And I want to finish with a poem that was read at my uncle's funeral called Ancestors by William Butler Palmer. Dear ancestor, your tombstone stands among the rest, neglected and alone. The name and date are chiselled out on polished marble stone. It reaches out to all who care. Is it too late to mourn? You did not know that I'd exist. You died and I was born. Yet each of us are cells of you, in flesh, in blood and bone. Our blood contracts and beats a pulse, entirely not our own. Dear ancestor, the place you filled 100 years ago spreads out among the ones you love who would have loved you so. I wonder if you knew that someday I would find a spot and come to visit you. Thank you.